If KUCCPS placed you in a university you don't like, or give you a course that feels like a punishment, this video might just save your future. Welcome to the KUCCPS Rejected You Watch This series, your survival kit if KUCCPS gave you a raw deal. I'm your host, and I run this channel, Kenyan Student, to give you practical academic content and student survival guides from high school to university. This is part 2A of our powerful 7-part series that outlines your real options after a disappointing KUCCPS placement. If you are new here, please pause right after this and check out the first video in this series. It gives an overview of all the 7 alternatives to KUCCPS, so you don't just react, you plan smartly. Links are in the description and the pinned comment. Now, this particular video is all about inter-university transfer, but it's only part A. That means this is the foundation. We explain how it works, who qualifies, the pros and the cons, and the smart advice to guide your decisions. Part B, which is coming next, will be your step-by-step KUCCPS portal tutorial. We'll click through the real process together. So be sure to watch both to avoid mistakes that could cost you your transfer or even your sponsorship. By the way, over 98% of the people who watch our videos haven't subscribed. And if you're watching this, I believe you are someone who's serious about your future. So please just hit that red button. It's free and it tells YouTube this content is valuable and we get to walk this university journey together. Fair deal? Awesome. Let's dive in. Thank you for subscribing. So, the first question, what exactly is inter-university transfer? In simple terms, it is your right as a student placed by KUCCPS to request to move from one university to another before or shortly after admission. So you can either stay in the same course but switch universities or change to a new course in a new university if you qualify. And by the way, this is the direct opposite of intra-university transfer. If you've not watched that video, you can have it in the description or we are going to put a link up there. You can go and compare the differences. Back to this, the entire process, which is now this inter-university transfer, is going to be done through the KUCCPS student portal during a limited transfer window, which is usually 2 to 3 weeks and sometimes slightly a month long, just after placement results are released. And yes, if it is approved, then you carry your government sponsorship with you. Okay, so it is an alternative pathway, which is actually our second series in this. It is regulated by KUCCPS and it allows the course and university adjustments. Okay, so let's get into it. What indeed are the advantages of this inter-university transfer? So why should you care about it anyway? Let's talk about these advantages. Number one is satisfaction, that you get to study in a place and a course that aligns with your dreams. Okay. The other one is that it is even location. Some of you might want to move closer to home or even to an urban university if that indeed suits your lifestyle. So call it the geographical preference and so forth and so on. The other one is that there is no year wasted. Remember, unlike repeating KCSE or waiting a year to apply again, this one will actually save that time for you. Sponsorship will stay intact. That is another advantage of this inter-university transfer, because since KUCCPS approves it, then you won't end up losing that government sponsorship, because by the time they get to allow you to actually successfully transfer that program, they will have checked and seen that there is actually a probability or an avenue for that scholarship to be changed, however much that money will be increased depending on the cost. So yes, you will retain your government sponsorship. And again, it is also official, it is transparent simply because it is centralized, and everything is done online through the KUCCPS. So there is no backdoor stress, no corruption. It is really a good thing. So this is literally your second chance. So don't waste it if you have that opportunity. But again, we have some disadvantages, or I can call it some shortcomings or some things you have to be very keen about here. That one, remember, it is not magic, because it's good we call it the way it is. You must meet the cutoff points for the course you want to transfer into. I have talked about cutoff points in this channel for the longest time. Again, keep watching that video if you're still confused about cutoff, right? Again, limited time window, because remember, transfers are only allowed during a short COOPS defined period. And I will tell you, because I will show you this practically in our part B of this video, how it can actually affect once that portal is closed. If you are a 2024 candidate, once COOPS is done with your group of students, it is done for you. You cannot now start initiating that process again in another year. So you have to be very careful. And even once you're done with that, and once you're successful, it is now difficult for you again to change. It's that serious. So you have to be serious in how you actually do these things. Okay. Number three, it is an uncertain outcome. What we call it is not guaranteed, because both the new and the old universities must agree to release and accept you. So, as I shall show you that process, the first things first is that the new university has to accept you. Once it accepts you, then the old university has to release you. So, if any of those universities decline, then unfortunately, you will not have this inter-university transfer. So again, it is not based on you, it is for them. You might have met everything, you might have all the requirements, but they just disagree for reasons that we shall actually see about. So watch till the end so that you can be able to get to the part B, because this part is very important for you to understand the practical when we go now to the COOPS portal itself. Okay. The other one is that there may be delays in registration. We're waiting for approvals. So once you file in the transfer process, as we shall see, it takes a duration. You will keep on checking it until you get bold. So sometimes it moves faster, sometimes it's slower. It can even take a week long. So there are a lot of delays in that admission finalization, and it is usually a one-time shot per admission cycle. So there is no second chances. It is very, very important for you to know that. So this is not the kind of thing you do blindly. That's why this part of the video is so crucial. Okay. Okay, let's go to some eligibility requirements. Here is what you need to qualify for the inter-university transfer. One is that you must have been placed by COOPS in a public university or TVET or whatever it is. And even if it was in a private university, so long as it was via the COOPS. But if you went and did self-sponsored, I mean, automatically, this cannot happen for you. Okay, so you must have been a COOPS placed student. Another thing is you have to meet the cutoff points and the subject cluster requirements for that new course. That has to happen. There is nothing we can do about that. If you don't meet the cutoff, you cannot even be allowed to continue with that process. Again, you have to apply during the official transfer window. So apply during the COOPS announced transfer window, which is usually between 2 to 3 weeks after the placement results. Then again, you have to get approval from both the current and the target universities. I have done that over and over again. So if even one step fails, your request gets denied. That is why, again, part B of our guide that will now literally take us through every button, every page, and every confirmation in the COOPS portal will be beneficial for you. So let's get to that, just an overview. This is theoretical. I know we are going to log into that COOPS portal. Then we're going to go to the transfer tab, select the university and the course we want to transfer to, check the eligibility as we have talked about, submit our request. So the receiving university will revise it first, followed by the releasing one, so that there is no vacuum in between. Then they will receive feedback. After both institutions approve, COOPS will process the transfer and update your admission. Then finally, you have what you call a transfer letter, and I will actually show you how a transfer letter looks like, everything. So don't worry, just keep in touch, and everything else will go as planned. The next thing is just an overview of the success rates and the trends that we have seen over the time. The approval rate, that is, if qualified, is a high 70 to 90% for eligible students during the window. But of course, remember, you can be part of that 30 or 10% that is not qualified. So again, it's very high stakes here. Most common transfers are those from remote or unpopular universities to urban ones. Definitely, people want to come to Kenyatta University, UoN, JKUAT, Moi, Multimedia, and so forth and so on. You'll also have to fill reasons for transfer. You'll have to give reasons. Was it not your preferred course? Is it health issues, financial issues? You'll have to tell a reason, and your reason is very, very important. We have challenging transfers like medicine, law, and engineering. Very, very difficult. But again, there is how you can do it and you still get it, as I will show you a practical example of how a student actually managed to change to law from Bachelor's of Science Informatics from my university to Bachelor's of Law, University of Nairobi, through this inter-university transfer window. So get in touch. Tips for a successful inter-university transfer. Again, do your research. Okay, know the course requirements in advance. Apply early. The portal gets congested in the last few days. So, I mean, be there in time. Provide strong justification. Have a good reason if asked. Don't especially for those competitive programs, medicine and so forth and so on, because when the stakes are high, then you have to ensure that you are also in that particular process, and you don't get kicked out because of giving weird reasons. Of course, for COOPs they will ask you to choose from the reasons that they will give you, but just look for the most reasonable answer, and yeah, you might have a good chance. Follow up with both universities. Don't just wait silently. I mean, yes, you can actually do this, although it's tricky because it is the COOPs that is actually doing it. So even if you call them a bit, but if you have that opportunity, good for you. Print all documents once it is done, and especially the transfer letter. Ensure that on the day of admissions, you have that transfer letter. Don't be telling them that check in your portal, I was transferred here. Have that letter with you so that it is easier for you. So a successful transfer is part strategy, part timing, and part clarity. Let me repeat that. It is part strategy, part timing, and part clarity. That is what I want for you. Okay. So the next question is, when should I consider? Is it for everyone? Let's see. So if you have to ask yourself these questions, were you placed in a university that is too far or maybe unfamiliar for you? Is your course completely misaligned with your dreams? Do you have special needs or health concerns? Does the campus environment feel wrong for you? So, if the answer is yes to any of those, then inter-university transfer could be your most strategic move, but only if you do it right. Okay, good. So, um, when we've covered a lot, but we are not done yet. This was part A, the advice and the strategy. In part B, we'll go on the COOPS portal together and walk step by step through the actual transfer process. That's where the real action happens. So don't miss it out. Okay. So please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop a like if this video helped you. We are building a powerful community of informed Kenyan students, and the subscription makes that possible. If you have questions or your story to share, the comment section is wide open. I personally go through them. So, link to the next video will be added here as soon as it drops, and trust me, you don't want to miss that. This is your host from the Kenyan student reminding you, one placement does not define you, but the right move next, that can change everything. Peace and progress. Have it nice.